Hey everyone, welcome to the last podcast of 2024. This
Actually,
is Whole
it's
Life.
the first podcast of 2025, isn't it?
Well,
We're kind of that in between.
So we're
recording.
We're speaking into the future.
That's right.
How is 2025, by the way?
I know.
Should we go there? Please communicate back and let us know whether it's worth moving into 2025 or whether we just extend 2024.
I put a down payment on a DeLorean yesterday, so let me know because I'm a little worried about what the ongoing payment is going to be like for the rest of the year. Guys, it's This is Whole Life, the podcast here at Whole Life Church in Orlando, Florida. Ken Wetmore, Dr. Bachman, Lucas is in Brazil.
Man, why did we let him go on
I
vacation?
don't think we should do that anymore.
This one, Lucas.
Isn't it the first 12 months of his employment?
I know. And I was like, when I saw what time it was, and I had totally forgotten. And then when he reminded me, I was like, oh, this is the one that you told me about when you got hired, that you already had your tickets for, like, you already had this ready to go. And if you were going to take the job, like, you needed to go. And
of course we want him to go.
So for 2 years it's been since he's been home.
Oh, wow.
And I think his wife maybe a little bit longer, or at least since she's seen her family.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a little bit back and forth. I've been trying to leave him alone, but he's having an exceptional time, maybe a little family overload from time to time, because it's like everyone wants to see you because you've been gone for so long. And
yeah, that's how it is when you go back home and you're a celebrity like that.
Well, when you're Lucas, I think you're probably not wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway, this week is Reflections. It is the last one last podcast we're recording in 2024, but you won't hear it until 2025. You'll already have stayed up and done maybe the ball, maybe you've done
I guess it
fireworks.
depends on what time. If they're listening to it at 6 a.m,
well, that's true
they
too.
probably didn't stay up. Or maybe they did. I don't know.
Well, maybe you're catching it. I know we have night shift people that
what time does it drop? Does it drop at midnight?
It drops when usually many times it drops whenever Randy gets done editing it. So that could be 1:30 in the morning, could be 2. But if I've done it before I leave for the day, which has not been happening much because we've been really busy. Tuesdays is a busy day here at the church, and so I don't usually get to start editing till late. Usually, like. But
this one, when will this one drop? Because we're recording this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'll get to it before then, so I'll probably do it like Monday night after all the kids are in bed and all that good stuff, and so it'll be ready. I feel
like these Saturday podcasts turn into like staff meeting.
Debrief.
We did do some scheduling last time, if you remember correctly, but I think I did cut some of that out too, because I didn't realize. I mean, you realize, but you don't really realize until you start editing with a fresh set of ears. You're like, wow, we
talked an awful lot about our calendar.
We just scheduled
people who do not care.
We were setting our schedules and just trying to figure things out logistically, and that isn't always perfect for podcast fodder. So the power of editing, it does happen. So as we reflect, if you look at this year, if you watched today's service, you will have seen a video report by the entire staff of what big things happened in 2024.
Highlights of 2024.
Lots of small things that nobody has time to say in 60 to 90 seconds.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other things in there. And so pretty impressive, though, when you put the whole thing together. People in the chat were like, wow, I am super proud of my church. Like, this is a lot, and like big things, very cool things I resonate with, things I feel are important. So I at least felt like, hey, we're on the right track.
Nice.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Almost like it was planned. And then there were some cool people. I just want to give a shout out. I know Dave listens to the podcast. So Dave, shout out to SDA Church in Vancouver Island, Canada.
Nice.
This is, he said, blessings from SDA in Vancouver Island, Canada. It's truly been a great blessing this last year, seeing you every Sabbath and see you grow. May 2025 be filled with God's blessing, and a big thank you to Randy for your time you took to help me with the AV in our church. No problem. That's what we're here for.
Cool.
And Dave and team are some pretty cool people. They are thorough. I will just throw that for them. Every question I didn't know. Well, I didn't know what they knew or didn't know, and I found out they knew quite a bit. And whatever they didn't know, they were ready with. When you ask someone to bring questions, podcast listeners, this is for you. They made a list. And we just went I think we did multiple calls, but it was good. That's helped them out in their size. It's helped us out too, because then we can think of cool things as we work together through those. And then Papi Nino said, this church has brought joy and more in community. I love that we get to worship God and explore his kindness and love toward us. Our church has been a pillar of support for those who have lost some, who have struggled financially, or those who feel they lack purpose. There is hope in this world. Thank you. So I thought we would do it in reverse order today, and we would start with the comments.
Yeah, I like it.
Because I thought that was kind of fun. And the other part was, it wasn't one that we talked about. Abel touched on a little bit in his, but when we talk about the things that you do in church, we have church service, and for those that watch online, our Whole Life family online, and for those of you that listen to the podcast, most of that didn't get mentioned today in the video. So I just wanted everyone to just do a quick rundown. Last year, we had 5,850 people attend online worship on our website. So that's at wholelife.church/live. That was an 11% increase over the year prior, which I was like, okay, see those go. And that means that people attended for 256,000 minutes last year.
Wow.
And that's about 4,270 hours. And there were 64 new accounts last year. That was up 36% from the year before. So we more than doubled the number of people that just new accounts that were coming aboard. That's good. We had a 48% increase in our YouTube viewing last year. So I was pretty happy with that. But that is all YouTube viewing. So that means people come, and one of the big ones, and Ken's going to like this one. Guess one of the biggest, well, it wasn't there for the year before, so it's new. And one of the new features that we've been doing on YouTube over the last year.
Just the sermon. No.
No. New altogether.
Oh, the podcast.
No.
Nope.
One more. You're almost there. And you should know what it is.
A new feature on there, or something that's
a new channel.
A new channel.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, our goofy videos.
New.
Okay, we've had that before. Okay, new channel. I am genuinely.
I wish I had the theme song programmed into because as soon as he heard the theme music, he'd know what it is. You know what it is.
Is it 60-ish with Ken?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, that's a new channel, huh?
So our shorts channel with just 60-ish with Ken saw a huge. I mean, you took over.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so it's had a 1 billion% increase.
well, it wasn't there, but
high performing.
But considering how many that are, I mean, we had 61,667 YouTube views last year. So of those
in 2023 or 2024?
2024.
We had how many?
61,667
views.
Total views for all YouTube content on our channel.
Okay.
And we have about 2,500 people that are subscribed to our channel. And I believe it was, and I forgot to put this one on, 13, I think it was 13% of all of that traffic, 60-ish with Ken.
Really?
So these are the things where little pieces that we do that we're like, hey, that might be fun to do. That might be cool. That might be worth 60 seconds of Ken's time and a few minutes of editing for Lucas or Randy. And there you go. It was a huge boom.
I don't think we need to do anything else.
I think we're good.
60-ish with Ken. That's just drop everything else.
I've got a new show, Rest on Your Laurels. We're going to start that one. That debuts January 1st. Don't miss it. That's going to feature absolutely no one. It's a show about nothing. You'll love it, I promise. We should run for about 9 seasons and probably go down in history as one of the best shorts ever. Anyway, and I think that also comes into account. Lucas and I mentioned in our video about the Google Ads grant that we're getting $10,000 a month that we're spending. And so Lucas has been taking all of these key phrases and different pieces and he sees the way people are searching for us, and then he's pushing those dollars out towards those people that are searching.
Okay.
And so that has pushed out, that's been huge, and I think in bringing those numbers. And I thought it was interesting. If you were to guess, would you say the viewership has gotten younger, older, or stayed the same overall?
Oh, wow.
What do you think?
I guess I'm trying to guess which way you go on this, the way you phrase it. But, so I don't know. I guess I would say that I would have probably just said we stayed level, trended kind of the same.
Okay.
But I'm feeling like that's probably not the right answer, but that's what I probably would have.
We gained significantly in the 13 to 17, 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 34 to 44. We were down from 26.3% of traffic to 14.4 in the 45 to 54.
My age bracket.
Yeah, our age bracket. I was like,
I guess
wow.
I just quit watching.
I know. Well, like, come on, fellow me's. What are you doing? It's whole life, bro. And then 55 to 64, we stayed even, and 65 plus, we were down 3%. But all the younger, like 13 to 17, was like 16%. It was crazy.
Wow.
And they were a very small portion.
What are they watching?
60-ish with Ken.
Really?
I'll bet you. It's a short social media.
And that's on YouTube, or that's on all of social media? Like
no, just YouTube.
Instagram, or
this is just YouTube.
Really?
Because YouTube has been one of our bigger outlets. Of course, Lucas had mentioned Instagram. We're up over, I think he said 35%. Sorry, Lucas. We were gonna go back.
A real way to take advantage of him not being here to defend himself.
I know. He's like, I really got to work on 30. And I'm like,
we have tried.
We
have tried.
And I didn't realize until after we got to the end, like he wasn't here. I couldn't re-record because I would have had him. Because he's, sorry. We give him grief.
We love you, Lucas.
But we love you, Lucas, and please come home soon. And then the podcast. This was, I thought, on YouTube also. So you were right before you said the podcast. We did put the podcast.
We didn't
YouTube.
have it on there before this year, right?
Nope. And the weird part was I don't know. They don't work like a typical podcast. Like, hey, you've got this many downloads, but. This is Whole Life had over 2,500. It had 2,561 views, and people watched 276.6 hours of those podcasts. So over the course of the year, we would have had. I don't know if we were on for the full year, but that was. I didn't check the start date. And then, speaking of grace, we had 1,905 views and 337 hours of people watching the podcast, which was something that we didn't have prior. And on Captivate, we actually had last year, we had 79% growth last year. So we were not going to top that. So while our number of listens dropped from 13,900 down to 11,500, so about 1,000 a month, but we brought in another new audience. This is so weird because last year we had about 3,000 unique people that listened to the podcast. And this year we have a little less listens, but we have 5,000 people. So that means that we've got a totally of, and these are people that have logged in
hang
once.
On. So we had 5,000 unique listeners this year. Last year we had 3,900 unique listeners.
3,000.
3,000. So we had 2,000 more unique listeners, but less listening minutes.
But less listening minutes.
Wow. I wonder what that's.
Or less.
So Ken starts saying, "Oh no, this is not for me. This is not for me."
No, I think what it means is that. You got to remember that the 3,000 uniques and the 13.9 thousand downloads, that was on a 79% increase for the year. And now to follow that up with more unique people being drawn into the show, maybe a few less listens. Although you guys last month, there was one day you had 758 downloads in one day.
Wow.
So I don't know what snapped where for who, but somewhere people were like, hey,
wonder which podcast that was.
I know. And I wish it would let you know by episode. Like I can see which ones get downloaded, but like today, one of the episodes is from I saw that got downloaded was from your first series, This Is Us.
Huh.
So you just never know what or where somebody might be.
Please tell me there's not going to be a quiz.
I've been taking notes, Melanie.
Have you?
Over here.
Oh yeah,
taking notes.
I did print this out.
All right, we made it all the way through the stack.
The whole stack.
There you go.
The whole stack. So all I want to say is thank you, number one, because I feel like you've been sharing this show. I think that that data definitely puts that into perspective, and the YouTube. So all the way across, I think we've been doing very well. Plus, although for our worship services, I feel like we've leveled off a little bit in those. We've also had great engagement, so it's hard to argue with that. Plus, last year was 40% increase.
Yeah.
So again, that's hard to top year after year when it's that big of a number.
Yeah.
There has to be a little bit of a somewhere, I think.
Well, we actually are, according to the numbers I'm keeping with our online viewers, we actually have more. We're up this year over last year.
That was true. Yeah.
We're up about 20%.
Because the end of this year we've leveled a little bit, but
Yeah.
that was, to start the year it was crazy.
Yeah.
And so I'm anticipating we've had some pretty good with some big week. Of course, Christmas is always a big week. That goes kind of without saying. So best part of 2024 from like a staff perspective, from a leadership perspective, what was the best part of 2024 as we tried to connect? And before we tell everyone next week what the new.
Yeah. Next week we'll jump into the new theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a reflection week, right? For us here at Whole Life, we kind of took a look back at the year that was and all the different things that happened. And, it's so amazing. When you start looking back at the different sermon series, the different events, the different moments in the year, and you're like, oh, wait, that did happen this year.
That was in
some cases, like, oh, that only happened 2 weeks ago. It feels like so much longer.
It really does.
But this has been a really good year, and it's always interesting to me that whatever the theme is for a year, whether it was at summer camp when I picked themes for the summer, or whether it's in a church where we have themes for the church year, it seems like that whatever the theme is it really does become the issue that we have a lot of joys in, that we have challenges in. And this year was connection, and we definitely saw challenges to connection this year here at Whole Life, the challenges that came up. And then we also saw just some really amazing examples of connection occurring, just some really, really neat just examples of people coming to Whole Life and connecting with God in a whole new way. If you attended I think it was first service today, we had somebody during first service talk about how they found Whole Life and it's changed their perspective. They kind of had been struggling with God, and they kind of found hope in their life that they didn't realize that they had before. And so it was really neat to hear that story. And then I can share that because they shared it knowing that it was going to be broadcast. But there's a lot of other stories that I have the privilege of hearing in my office, on the phone, with people that come up to me and they say, hey, this is what I've experienced. This is what's happening for me. And it's just a blessing to hear how people are really deepening their walk with Jesus, and also how they're finding connection in what is, I think, becoming an increasingly lonely world. The statistics say that people are becoming more and more lonely, and I would love to think that Whole Life is what messes up statisticians when they're doing that study, that they look at people at Whole Life and they go, well, wait a minute, but these people, it's different. It's not that there isn't loneliness that people experience at Whole Life, but it is that as a whole, that really people are finding community, that they're finding connection with God and with others, and finding purpose to life. And those things are very important.
Well, and there's connection happening on so many levels. I was talking with somebody who was mentioning that, their parents had started, coming to Whole Life, and how cool it was that their parents found connection and their kids are finding connection. So it's like 3 generations of people finding meaningful connection in a community is pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Is 2025 the theme disruption? Disruption. Is that I heard you kind of say that, so I thought, well, maybe you were just like sneaking clues in there.
It is not the theme.
Oh, I was going to make them guess and think about it, but no, it's not the theme. Disruption. That's a good one, though. Have we thought about that as one possible?
We'll go ahead and file that in the back. I don't know if that's something I want to wrestle with for a whole year.
How do we be the best disruptors? It could be fun, though. There could be some really cool events that would come out of that.
We'll have to think about that, Randy.
Okay.
Your suggestion has been duly noted.
Okay. All right. When you can see into the future and see those, well, never mind. I'm going to sell the DeLorean. I'm not going to buy it. I think I'm just going to sell it before it gets here. No. So, Melanie, what was your favorite part of 2024 from something that happened here at church, something you were involved in or just witnessed from afar?
Wow. To pull one thing out of a whole year, there is so much that has been happening. I feel like a lot of the things that we talked about in 2023 that we would love to see happen started happening in 2024. So I don't know that I could just nail it down to one particular thing. I think, our small communities are taking off. We have, the whole life school of music happening. We've been doing the development nights with the musicians. We've got new technology. I was like, just all of these cool things. And the other thing I think that's cool for me personally is, my first year here, I was just trying to figure out where I was and what I was doing. But this year, I feel like I've been able to make a lot more connections too, and that is really cool to feel embraced more deeply by a community of people because you're getting to know people better.
Yeah. And everything you said, I think that came out really well, like with Abel and Albert in the video today, and the way you kind of set that whole scene up was really good. And I think for me, it's like you said, it's hard. It's like, yeah, Barn Party was great. So was Connected. So was this. So were all those different events.
Summer Party, that was a blast.
Summer Party was great. But like some of the best parts about 2024 was when, if someone used to come into my old office before Lucas got here, it was kind of 2 as a crowd almost. 3 was almost, and then 4 came in, wow, we were really packed in there tight. And now where we've moved over, where we've got the office and some studio space to record the podcast and video and such, there's more chairs, there's more room, and people have found a place to come and hang out. And so on Saturday morning, when Lucas and I are working to make sure, everything on the stream is working properly, and we're helping out, kids' rooms that don't know how to get their TVs working, or someone needs batteries over here, so we're usually available, and we usually end up kind of helping in that role. But people will come in and just sit down and go, oh, man, I didn't realize you guys were over here.
It helps that you have the most comfortable chairs in the building and your studio smells like coffee most of the time.
Well, I'm not saying we don't make it on purpose, to try to draw them in. But we've had volunteers that are going to be starting for us that have just come and hung out and was like, oh, wow, this is what you guys do here. So I think this year, staff was maybe more visible and on purpose. But I think staff was more visible this year to people. And I feel like I've gotten to actually know more people instead of just making acquaintances. So I think the connect part really did work out really well. And I think that was, just thinking about it, that was my favorite part of what we did this year.
Yeah, that would be something that I would have, that I would say was a big deal this year, is that it really feels like our staff has kind of come together at this point, that we kind of have, the last 3 years, there's been a fair amount of staff who have moved on to other things, or who, with me coming in brand new 3.5 years ago,
retired.
And people retiring, things like that. This year, it's really kind of felt like we've kind of gotten the people onto the bus that need to be on the bus, and then kind of help people find the right seats on the bus.
Dave Ramseyism.
Well, that's actually Dave borrowing it from
Is it really?
Good to Great, but yeah.
Okay. All
So, or I shouldn't say, I don't know. Maybe Dave gave it to Good to Great. So I don't want, if I'm wrong, Dave Ramsey, and you're listening, just feel free
Good
to
to
let me
Great
know.
got it from Aristotle or
Something
somebody.
like that. Anyway.
I'm sure.
But it feels like kind of, we have Aubrey on now with our children's ministries, and she's been kind of taken this year for her to kind of figure out whole life and how children's ministries work here. And so it feels like she's kind of getting the hang of where things are at, what resources are available. We have, Lucas that came on board this year that's been a great fit for your department. We've seen Freud move over into our member care position. He's doing a terrific job with that. He did a good job in the position he was in before, but it feels like this is the position that just really even clicks even more for him, and that he's making some really neat innovations in that area. So just
Albert's new technically to his
full time.
So if you think about it, but I'll go back to the video. If you really watch everybody's face, and I know it's covered by a lot of B-roll just to show like what they're talking about, but every last person, we didn't have to ask anyone to smile particularly. I mean, people were genuinely, like if you watch Aubrey's video, she was trying to contain, the excitement, and Abel as well. And all of us really. And just because we love what we do. And like you said, when you're in the right seat on the right bus and it gels together, it really does make it a really cool process and a really powerful team.
And that's what I enjoy coming to work with everybody.
Yeah.
Just just really, really, really thoroughly enjoy the team that we have here. It's just a tremendous group of people and very talented. I was just watching the video today of what we've done over the last year. I just thought, man, I just love how diverse our staff is, how there's, we can joke about Lucas, struggling with a word here or there, but I just love that we have multilingual people on our staff who, when we have people come to church that English isn't a first language, they go, oh, there's somebody on staff that understands what it's like for me here, and also that I can communicate with really clearly and understand. So I just love all of that. I just think it's just a great group of people to work with. And then I look at the church as a whole, and I think we just have just a wonderful, wonderful group of people that work together, worship together, play together. And this year, I think, has really highlighted all those things. We've really had the chance to do a lot of different things, and it's been really neat to watch the numbers of people coming out to different events, whether that's potluck. Our potlucks have been packed, and it's been fun to get back. I don't know what potlucks were like because I came in during the pandemic, so I don't know what potlucks were like before here, but it's been really fun post-pandemic to actually see people coming together and having potlucks and spending time together and laughing together and getting to know each other and really seeing each other. And the summer party that we had over the summer, doing a lot of different activities together, that was super fun. It was super fun to see, again, people make connections. And I think, if there's one thing that besides pointing people towards Jesus, one of my things that I like connecting people. I like helping people find their new best friend. I love or find a job that they really enjoy or whatever. I just get a lot of joy out of helping people kind of find their thing or help them figure something out. So this year has been really fun for me because I've just watched a lot of that happen around the church, that people are just kind of finding the place they want to volunteer. They're finding, whether that's here at the church or out in the community. We have people that do a ton of work out in the community, and we love that. We think that's fantastic, and it's been fun watching Anderline really take our justice ministries and level it up even further. The last 2 years for her have been a lot of foundational work, and I haven't talked to her really in depth, but I've also kind of picked up from her that there's just been those moments where she's like, trust me, there's stuff happening, but it's kind of below the surface. And this year I feel like she's really been able to show the seeds are sprouting that she's planted.
Yeah.
And it takes time. And one of the things I'm so grateful for at Whole Life is the patience that this church has, that there's just a patience with allowing the process to happen and giving people time to do good work. And it's what I told Anderline when she came on. I said, look, Anderline, it's going to take a while to build a foundation to be able to do stuff, but you have to build that foundation if you really want to do meaningful long-term work. And it's one of the things that made me want Anderline to be here on our team, because she understood that, and she told me that up front. She says, it's going to take some time. You've got to get to know the people in the community. You've got to do assessments. You've got to look at all these different things. And so I really feel like a lot of that's coming to fruition. I can't remember what she said, 1,000 different families have been impacted by Whole Life this year through a whole bunch of different initiatives. That's phenomenal. I mean, just and kudos to her and the Justice Ministries Advisory Board and all the people who've been really putting in a lot of work to say, look, at Whole Life, we want to help, but we also want to do more than just Band-Aid problems. Band-Aids are important. We want Band-Aids, but we also want to do things that really get down to some of the root issues and can make long-term systemic change. And that's been Anderline's challenge that she's been working on. We really feel like we've found some ways that we can not only hand a sandwich to somebody, but can also hand them the help that they need to learn the skills that will help them be the successful person that they are and be able to create the life that they want to create. And so I'm really super psyched about the work that Justice Ministries is doing to be a difference in this community. And I'm really proud of what Anderline's accomplishing. And like I said, I feel like this year was just the seed sprouting. I feel like there's going to be so much more growth in the next couple of years. But again, it's due to her putting in the diligence and this church having the patience to say, yeah, let's do it right. Let's not do it quick. Let's do it right. So I'm really proud of that. I'm super proud of something that a lot of people have no idea that's going on right now. But our board chair, Robert Vargas, came in this year. One of the things I told Robert is when I first came on, I put together a kind of a 5-year plan, but it was really a kind of a quick put this together. Let's see what we can do. And one of the things I told Robert was I really like to see us have a deep, meaningful conversation as a board and as a church about what is our direction, where are we really wanting to go, how will we grow? That was the question that I posed to our board is how will we grow? We're growing. But if you've ever watched grapevines grow, unless you give them direction, they'll go in all kinds of different directions. And if you're not pruning, if you're really not paying attention to what you want, it never becomes everything that it could be. You can do a lot of good things, but you need to have focus, you need to have direction. And so the challenge I put in front of the church board was how will we grow? And just so grateful to a board that really put some thoughtful time into it and then figured out we've found a consultant. We're working with a really talented group of people from the church to come up with a long-term vision for where we're headed, how we're going to grow over the next, not only 5 years, but I think probably the next 10 to 20 years of how we're going to grow. For those of you who come to church in person here, you know that on certain Sabbaths, it can be next to impossible to find parking or to find a seat in second service. It can be really difficult to find that. And so we want to be very thoughtful about what it means to grow. Do we add a third service? Do we do a church plant? Do we do another church campus somewhere else? Do we do house churches? Do we do Melanie's wanting to go for 4 services a weekend. I've had to talk her out of that. But
as soon as you said she barely flinched. I don't even know if she flinched.
She flinched a little bit.
But I saw her soul
she
leaving.
Kicked me really hard. You didn't see that.
Leaving her body as soon as that third service came out.
So, but the point of it is that we put a talented group of people together, and not just to look at just like attending services, but what are we doing in the community? What are we doing overall? And so that group of people right now has put in, I think, over 40 hours of meeting time together, working on these things. And so I think in 2025 and particularly 2026, you're really going to hear a lot more. Again, some foundational work, but this is stuff that happened because Robert Vargas, our board chair, said, this is going to be my mission this year. I am going to make sure this happens. And he has really followed up on it. Kudos to the rest of that team, our chair emeritus, Joe Newell, who's rotating off the board, but she has been a phenomenal force for good in this church. And I think probably most people, if they ran into Joe in our church, or maybe even Robert, you may know them, you may recognize them, but you probably don't realize how much time and effort they put into making sure that we have a well-governed church. And Alfred Vogel, who is going to be our board chair this coming year, was our vice chair this year, just phenomenal. And then incoming vice chair is Ken Bradley, who his family actually were the members of this church when it first began. Yeah. And Ken wasn't even born at that point. And so Ken's been a part of this church for a long time. So we really appreciate what he's going to be bringing on to our executive leadership team on the board. And then all the other board members who just pour their time and effort in. But this year we have worked on that vision for this church. And again, I think in 2025, you're going to hear more of that outcome. And then 2026 is where you're probably going to hear the most about where we kind of really outline things and really talk about that. And it's exciting stuff. I mean, the things that I can't talk about, that we're having conversations with just some other great organizations out there and amazing people. There are some incredible days in front of Whole Life. Like the best is yet to come. There are some great things and
like greater things.
Yeah, greater things.
Greater
things yet to come.
Well, I think part of what's
overflow into that.
Oh man, I think what people are starting to maybe to realize, like you know what's happening, and a lot of churches do series, and I think that initially I didn't separate them until I was on staff as much. Like we have a theme, and then you have series within the theme. Mm-hmm. But I think people are starting to see the intentionality, like the true intentionality and the follow up. Because I think we've, at least since you've been here, we've done a great job of messaging from the front. like, hey, this is part of a rise. This is part of, this is now we moved on and follow me. And, this year was Connect and to finally to start seeing like, oh, when we do Connect, because like this year when Connect did our annual event and then Connect, it was kind of like, well, which one is which? And isn't this the same thing or is this different? And I think it started to click, and especially when Lucas came on board and we were better to do more of and more concise branding with more time and more effort. And I think people figured that part out really, that everything is like done with intentionality to lead you to a specific ideal. And I think that that's only with the work you just talked about, that's only going to get better. And there's some pretty cool stuff that, if when it can be shared, I think it'll put a smile on most people's faces.
Guarantee it.
Cool. Yeah.
Guarantee it. And that is my hope is that if you attend Whole Life one Saturday, you come here, then you get a blessing. You walk away saying, man, I really saw Jesus in a new way. I experienced God. I felt uplifted. I was challenged. And you walk away, you have that great experience. And we have a lot of people that come into town. We have people who are here for business conventions. We have people here who occasionally here for tourism and other things like that. And they'll come in here, and I hope they walk away with that. And if they never make it back to Whole Life and don't choose to necessarily watch us online, I hope that they have that blessed experience in that moment. And I also hope that as people continue, people who are here every week, that they are doing what you said, is that they're noticing that there is a trajectory to things. And sometimes, actually, I don't even so much care if they notice it. It's kind of like breathing. You don't always notice that you're breathing, but you are, and or at least you hope you are.
I did it again.
But you also experience growth, and it's like, as you look back on when you have kids when they're small, you don't see the growth happening in a day or a week, but you look back at January last year, and you can see that these little changes, and then you look back 5 years and you're like, wow, they've really grown. And so our hope here at Whole Life is that because we're intentionally doing things a certain way, that people will grow in Christ, whether they realize exactly everything that's happening or not, but that growth will be happening as they're plugged in here at Whole Life, and plugged in most importantly to Jesus and what he's doing through Whole Life.
Oh man. Feels good when we're all in it together.
And we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If only we could share more. It's coming.
Brady's bursting.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
He's like, don't do it.
Get me in trouble.
Not yet. No, it's not the end of the year yet. It's not next year. We're not done yet. No, seriously, though, I think that this year, the Connect was, I think when we first did it, there was some dread. It's like, oh no, what is Ken going to ask us to do to connect? And I'm not sure I'm ready for any of it. But at the end of the year, like you said, we've made it through Connect, and for all the things that maybe bring uncomfortable, feelings or interactions sometimes when we connect, I feel like this year there's just been a lot of connecting. I just know personally, I've seen and I've gotten to know more people in the last year than I have had in probably 3 years prior. So I think the intentionality, like you said, whether you actually go, I'm getting more comfortable doing this, or I feel like I'm making more connections, you actually are, and you're feeling it.
I have a question, because we had Connect the Game this year with the Game Master. Is that going away?
I don't know. I'm debating it. The Game Master has not lived up to all of his potential. I can tell you that much.
Well,
I think I may. I don't know. I'll tell you what would be fun would be to continue Connect the Game, but to have another Game Master, maybe somebody from the church who could take on that role and come up with some ideas. Somebody who's not on our staff, who maybe wants to take that on as a ministry. Otherwise, I think it probably will wind up not continuing on too much further. One of the things I realized this year is when I took that on, I was like, I had so many good intentions for it and just found myself up to my earlobes with so many other things that I didn't do as much as I'd wanted to do with that particular
It doesn't mean
thing.
It wasn't important.
No, of course not.
It just means that in the hierarchy of what has to happen every week,
I have to have a sermon every week.
I know.
I have been told that I must come prepared. So,
So
anyway.
this is Dr. Bachman's fault.
No, it's the church's expectations fall,
Oh, okay.
which are very fair.
No, of course. Look at how fast.
I don't want no part of this
Look
conversation.
at how fast I threw her under the bus.
No, I just think that it might come to church at some point and be surprised with not a sermon because we might be doing something else. So
It could always happen.
yeah.
Are we allowed to do that?
We're just redefining stuff over here. So.
Always redefining.
Well, I kind of like that word.
I love that word.
Good word.
It's a good word.
It is a good word.
Well, I think that we've redefined connecting or connect or connected. Music. I was thinking music.
And
video
you were
in my head.
making fun of Lucas earlier.
And I know, right? I have English is my second language, third too sometimes. Anyhow, now that we've redefined connection and connected and just general connections, we're not going to tell them though, are we?
We're not.
Doggone it! I forgot about that. I was going to.
It's next week. We have to have something to talk about next
Because you even
week.
took it off the end of the video today.
I did.
I was disappointed. I was like, he nailed
Well,
it.
we're
I mean,
putting
there
that.
were.
You nailed
Well, that
close.
wasn't a problem. That wasn't why that came off at the end of the reason it came off was just because it was a little awkward to flow out of that video with me talking and then into me talking some more. So, but I'm sure you're putting that up on the web today, right?
Yeah,
the whole thing.
It'll go
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
So there may be some clues in there about what next year's theme is, and I think we've already told a lot of people. I think people know what the theme
And I
is.
think if maybe you picked up a T-shirt on the way out today,
Yeah,
you
you
might
might have
have
figured
an
that out.
idea. Yeah.
I will say the T-shirts that we gave out today went really quick.
So
I ordered.
fast.
But
I think last year we ordered like 350 or 400. This year we ordered close to 600, and they were gone.
well, in Lucas we trust.
Yeah.
That's a slick man.
So I guess I'm going to have to look in. I'm going to have to talk to our T-shirt person and
Even
see if
the
they're able to
non-T-shirt
do.
people that have talked to me today were like, I'm not even a T-shirt person. I mean, like, I'll wear it maybe just because to a church event, but I don't wear T-shirts. I'm like, this is cool. And I'm like,
Lucas did a good job.
And I'm just like, I wish I could say it was me, but it's not. It was Lucas. No, it's all Lucas.
There's so much to look forward to, right?
Ah.
So we have our upcoming year, and then in 2026, it's our 100-year anniversary.
Oh my. I think that's hives. That's coming up.
I see most of our staff breaking out. It's like this year was busy already.
It was busy.
But you know what? We trust the process, right?
No.
The process. We will. Every year we've learned some new things that help us go, okay, we need to do this a little bit different. We need to plan a little bit differently. And
We may have to let it go.
Yeah.
Never know. All right. That's it. This is Happy New Year. Right? Yeah. It's Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
That's it.
happy 2025. I hope you're liking it because we're all in it together now.
Because we're still thinking, we're. And then
There's no opt-out button. So
no, there's no opt out. And next week it'll just be back to normal. You're not gonna hear no Merry Christmas, no Happy New Year. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Everything I was excited to look at all the numbers and the growth and all the different things. And I know the sharing, because like I said, this month it's just been crazy with those. So please continue to share with family, friends, and wear your whole life shirt down the street. People find on the website.
You can even share it with your enemies.
Well, you could do that too, but maybe say a prayer before you go in. Yeah.
It's part of loving your enemies.
Man, rough one at the end of the year. We connected, and now we want to connect. We're throwing out connect to the enemy.
There it is.
There it is. Do it, because we said so. Please and thank you. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna edit this out too.
I think we're pretty tired.
I'm tired. It is tired. It's time to go, and that's it. Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic week, and 2025 is right around the corner.
No,
Be
it's
safe.
not. It's right here.
It's here.
Be safe.
It's
Goodbye.
2025 right now.
25 now.
25 for now.
Yeah. When
Oh, wait a minute. Someone else
comes
just
out.
picked up. It's now. You just got to the end of the episode. It's now.
Goodbye.
I will make something work out of that.